Hello, good afternoon and welcome to The Pulse. Welcome to you live from our studios here at Accra. We're live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125 and around the world on myjoyonline.com. Coming up this afternoon, High Court dismisses an application filed by Nana Akua-Afriye, the NPP parliamentary candidate for Ablekuma North, seeking to stop a planned rerun of the parliamentary elections in 19 polling stations within the constituency.
There's no improvement here, so we are going to vote for another party to come, another MP, different MP to come.
Do I get the indication that you are going to vote for the NDC candidate?
Yes, of course.
We have details as constituents say they are ready and eager for the elections. Also this afternoon, Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Ablekuma refutes what he describes as misleading reports suggesting that Ghana compromised its stance on a crucial UN vote on anti-LGBTQ.
We do not support that practice, and President Mahama has made it very clear that it will not be on his watch that he will support or his government will endorse LGBTQI. He's made.
We have details as the Foreign Affairs Minister says Ghana will change its approach on the matter. Also coming up in our Climate Focus series today, we'll tell you how plastic collectors in Accra are making a living from what the city throws away and filling the gap in its broken waste system.
Because of this job, my pikin gets scholarship for outside. Because of this job, I build my own house with wife with 2 kids.
These and more coming up here on The Pulse. The Pulse is, as always, brought to you by Deaf and Drill Cough Expectorant. Deaf and Drill, breathe easy, feel easy. My name is Faustina Safo, and it's a pleasure doing this with you. As always, please take a seat and be my guest. Thanks for choosing us. We are your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. This afternoon, the High Court has dismissed an application filed by Nana Akua-Afriye, the NPP parliamentary candidate for Ablekuma North, seeking to stop a planned rerun of the parliamentary elections in 19 polling stations within the constituency. The rerun, scheduled for July 11, 2025, is part of the Electoral Commission's efforts to conclude the disputed December 7, 2024 parliamentary election results in that particular constituency. While delivering the ruling, Justice Ali Baba described the application for an interim injunction as unmeritorious, stating that the balance of convenience lies in allowing the Electoral Commission to fulfill its constitutional obligation to ensure the people of Ablekuma North are duly represented in Parliament. Member of our Legal Affairs Desk, Kwekwa Santi, will be joining us shortly with details. Let's listen to this first.
The judgment was handed down not so long ago by the High Court sitting in Accra. Justice Abaturi sitting on this matter. We know that at the start of this week, the New Patriotic Party, through Gary Macron, and in particular on behalf of Nana Akua-Afriye, the NPP's parliamentary candidate in that constituency, filed a legal challenge to the Electoral Commission's decision to order a rerun in 19 polling stations in Ablekuma North on Friday. We know that in January, the High Court order was to the effect that the EC should complete the collation exercise and declare a winner. That was in a such a stalemate for weeks and months. The EC was unable to do that. After meeting both political parties, it then decided that it was going to rerun the election in 19 polling stations. Last week, the EC decided, the NPP described that decision by the EC as unconstitutional and unlawful, and served the notice that they're going to file some legal challenges to this. Due to that, on Monday, they did file a substantive action in court, but followed up specifically with an injunction application seeking to stop the election from going ahead on Friday. The injunction application was heard this morning. The Electoral Commission and other parties were all represented. The NPP did make their case in court before Justice Abaturi. They say that the EC have no locus to order a rerun in 19 polling stations, for which reason they wanted the court to stop that. the court listened to the arguments and found that there was no merit in that case and that the EC should not be stopped from going ahead with organizing the rerun on Friday. So the EC now giving a clean bill of health, the green light to go ahead on Friday to rerun the election in Ablekuma North so that we can get a member of parliament from that constituency. That is the news coming from the court.
My colleague Kwekwa Asante there just giving us a wrap of some of the key details that happened in court. But constituents say they are ready and eager to head to the polls on Friday. My colleague James Aveji visited the Ablekuma North constituency and spoke with several residents who expressed enthusiasm and anticipation for the upcoming election.
This is the Kwashiman traffic light at the heart of the Ablekuma North constituency, where in the next few hours on Friday, the rerun of elections at 19 polling stations will be happening in order to resolve the 7-month-long dispute over the parliamentary election results. At the center of this issue are two divided opinions. For the NDC and the Electoral Commission, they would have to do a rerun in order to get an MP for the constituency. But for the NPP, they have pulled out of the election because they believe a rerun is in violation of the electoral regulations as well as the orders of the court. We are here to gauge the mood of constituents ahead of that election on Friday. Boss, thanks for your time this afternoon. First of all, I want to know if you do vote in this constituency. Okay. What do you make of the election happening on Friday? Do you know about that before today, and will you go out and vote?
About Friday na mesanya ntiesa asem na omasa de kokko to se de ntino se beba se ye beto ba ne Friday dia die hia ye 1 MP MP ne eda nchen ya de se hia no ya asumdue kire se asumdue no hod mo bi no betimi edai akoba bi opese woko nti se ye beto about on Friday se de omane kana ye nyina ye omamba nti ne ye nto aba no asumdue kwan so se de be ya after battle no ye nyina benya kwan edai aba ye nwuma so.
Essentially, he said he heard earlier that there will be voting and that he would... will you go out to vote on Friday?
Yeah, so... I can't say about Friday because me talk about Ablekuma North and not about Friday.
Okay, and that he will go out to vote on Friday. What they want is a peaceful voting process so that at the end of the day, an MP will be declared for them. Who also would want to speak to me, boss? Do you also vote here? You don't vote here. But what do you make out of the process? You live here. This is where you live here too. Okay. But what do you make out of the process? For 7 months, they do not have an MP. Possibly by Friday, they should have an MP.
Oh, when there is an net, almost two about some babies see and no court to examine the idea in Ambem. Baffin and Nabase, Everton for Fontaine. Easy for any some bebana, any ato abanas, Ablekuma North.
So Friday, even though you are not going to vote, you'll be waiting for an MP to be elected.
Yes.
Okay. Anchor, talk to me.
Yes. Yeah, true. I say about when the basso. I talk about December 7th. After now, I say in your MP. Yes, say Niman Kuyi say abandon Nesifem. Not possibly. They say oh ye biano with me ye masum do a Ablekuma North na mpuntu so koso Ablekuma North without MP they say hano yakachi mpuntu bibia ai basa.
What were you looking out for? What are the development you were looking for?
Okay, I say ye here so we hear government come question here I say after now say ka ban me erocate fufuro and I'm all over there's many roads say omoye ni nyina akachi. So, never may be or say Ablekuma North here as a campaign of her, and never to me cost. Masum do not development to me a fru. Now you to Sunya Dumaya. They say Bibia Bassa or Ablekuma North. Bibia Bassa, they say, you say a could be say a conifa, quite Atana say a cocojo. They say abandon the system. Not easy in the system. Not quite be a fast way, being MP no, as MP ba. within this month, you hear MP.
Okay. So he there believes that there is lack of development here in Ablekuma North constituency, and that Friday, by end of Friday, there should be an answer to that where the constituent would get an MP in order to bring development to the area. The NPP have pulled out of the election. They said they are not going to take part in it because they believe that what is happening is against the law. The court says go and finish the coalition, but the EC decide to do a rerun. What do you make out of the NPP pulling out? Okay,
say you know, say me in the court back. You say from hence 1992, and I did was say it about to basso. That's all one to once here. Paco court. To court and say court decided a final. To the court back and a final decision. Near the EC back. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. He believes that whatever the court makes out of the case that has been filed should be the final solution to the matter, not whoever party, whichever party to the issue thinks, what the EC thinks or the NPP thinks. And so the court should decide in that. What do you also think? Do you vote here? What do you look forward to?
Oh, me am what they mean to about Ablekuma North. I'm to about Swama that there's honest Western North. But the yesterday say court to decide this on to abana yesro mu ina some kono mo to abano no mu MP na mputu nkoso e Ablekuma North because basa youth no enya adwuma anye bu youth no ntimba basa MP ni ho a youth no enya adwuma anye ti yesro mo esre mpanyifo mo da no se omo te omo ase na omo koto ababa ye yempe ye basa yo ntokwako Ghana yepe kro ye yempe basa yo nti de yesre ma yempanyifo no.
So what's your name?
Frederick.
Frederick has his vote somewhere in the Western North region, but he is here. He thinks that the voting should come on, but it must be a peaceful exercise, which at the end of the day must bring an MP to the constituency. Let me speak to just two more people to hear their views, then we leave it. What do you also think? Do you vote here?
Yeah, I vote here.
You vote here?
Yeah.
Oh, which of the polling stations?
Kwashiman. At the Anglican school.
Anglican school. Yeah. Is your polling station also part of those who do the rerun?
Yeah.
So you're also going to vote on Friday?
Yeah.
What do you make out of the process so far?
Oh, you see, we are all looking up to the electoral commission. She is the referee, or that body is the referee. Okay. So whatever they will come up with, we'll follow. So I'll go and vote.
Okay. So Friday you are going to vote?
Yes, of course.
The NPP has pulled out of the race. What do you make out of that?
You see, NPP MPs have been in this constituency for so long, and they have pulled out. It's up to them because we have Ablekuma North. There's no improvement here. So we are going to vote for another party to come, another MP, different MP to come.
Do I get the indication that you are going to vote for the NDC candidate?
Yes, of course.
That's what you are going to vote
because we want change. Because I've been in this constituency for more than 20 years. Okay. You look at go around this constituency. There's no improvement. Our roads are bad. Everything doesn't seem well with those who are in Ablekuma North. So I'll go and vote for NDC. We want change. Not necessarily that I'm NDC, but we want change.
But were you surprised to hear that the NPP had decided to pull out?
Yeah, I know.
Were you surprised?
Oh, I'm not surprised because they won't get it. So I'm not surprised.
You think that even if they had stayed and partake in the election, they wouldn't have won?
Yeah, no, yes, I know they won't want the election. That's why they have pulled out from the election.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not surprised.
What's your name?
Otu.
Okay, Mr. Otu, there, he'll be going to vote as well. Let me speak to you, the last person. Do you also vote here?
Yes.
You vote?
I am a tour.
So Friday you go and vote? Okay.
Because Abano, ya to about Bosome Zuni. Yeah, ni MP. Juma so course of parliament. It is important to Juma be Banas, yeah, cha. Yeah, MP no, oh, yebi. Because you need obi a osi ya na mu ho nti se afia da ba se yankoto de be kwa akoto.
I see. Thank you so much. What's your name?
Your friend Samuel Ekufu Esiama.
Okay. Samuel there also speaking to us. And so that is the view of the constituents in Ablekuma here. A number of them will be going out to vote on Friday. A number of them also do not have their votes in here. But I think one thing is clear, that no matter what it is, they all want an MP to be declared by end of Friday. And so we look forward to what comes out of the vote on Friday. But they are united in one voice calling for a peaceful election process on Friday. From Kwashima here in Ablekuma, my name is James Savaji for JoyNews.
James Savaji there bringing us that live report from Ablekuma North constituency. But we're wondering this afternoon, what exactly do the political parties make of this High Court dismissing the application filed by the NPP parliamentary candidate for Ablekuma North, anti-LGBTQ? Well, joining me in the studio is the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Mustafa Gwande. I also have with me joining on phone the NPP as well. We're told Haruna Mohammed will be joining us shortly as we get a conversation on this going here on the pulse. I'll start with you, Mustafa Gwande. Your biggest competitor has pulled out of the race.
Which one?
The NPP.
No, they are not our competitor.
You must be pleased.
They are participating in the election.
The election that they say they have won.
So they are not our competitor. We are all going into an election, and obviously they don't have a reason to participate in this election. Because even internally, the NPP is not organized. They are very disintegrated around needless issues, very mean, self-centered issues. Leadership is in crisis. Their chairman is nowhere to be found. My chairman is on the ground.
Nowhere to be found.
The general secretary is using their third vice chairman instead of the second vice chairman. There's crisis all over the place in the NPP. So which election were they going to participate in? Number two, they know that the candidate they have presented is not a credible one, because Ablekuma North used to be a place where the NPP dominated. They have lost that glory because they've really taken the people for granted over the years. That is how come young Rabinal Bin won the seat. But they decided that they were going to use some other means to impose a substandard candidature of their ambassador who had issues when she was posted to China on the people of Ablekuma North.
Well, they have their pink sheets, and they say that based on the data they have, they won the seat.
When the MPP...
Do you have your pink sheets, though?
When the MPP's general secretary is a lawyer, the MPP's national organizer is a lawyer, and they pretend as if they are ordinary people, I don't understand, because CI 127 gives clear guidelines as to how elections are organized, collation done, and declaration done. The reinforcement of the court order was to ask EC to go and complete its constitutional mandate. And the mandate was to collate the remaining or the outstanding areas and declare. Because if you go to an election and results have not been collated or declaration have not been made, then in effect there was no election.
The exact point.
So results have to be declared. Whoever loses and disagrees can go to court. All right? But to rely on a manufactured, scanned pink sheet that nobody knows where it's coming from.
But what happened to your pink sheets?
There was a whole massacre on election day. The Electoral Commission lost their pink sheets. NDC lost some. NPP lost some. We don't know where. Did you see any scanners at the coalition center by the NPP? Did they put scan machines at the coalition center? So they always...
But as a political party, you must have a copy, because usually your polling executives will send you copies.
Why?
Are you saying you don't even have a copy?
There are natural situations that frustrates the reasons why you cannot be holding your copy. And I'm saying that it's not just the NDC. The NPP knew that they didn't have pink sheets, apart from the criminally manufactured pink sheets that they are holding scanned copies. And they know that CI 127 did not say that we should use scanned copies to declare anything. It is carbonated pink sheets. That is the law. The law is the law and is the law. Minus the law, you can't find any other way to declare an election. And the NPP again knows that with what Nanado have done to the people of this country, led a gang of old men who have done a lot of injustice to the people of Ghana, punished the people of Ghana, rendered this country really useless. It is unforgivable, it is unpardonable, and it is unforgettable. For them to think that within 6 months, Ghanaians would have forgiven them such that they can win an election in Ghana would mean that they are not experienced. The NPP is on the ground. They've gone there to test their popularity, and it's not working. Because it is not really about who is NPP and who is NDC. It's about good conscience. It's about service to the people. And if we talk about these virtues, the NPP is nowhere close.
The NPP argues that the EC is in contempt of court because in January, the court had given a clear directive. Go back and recollect. They failed to do that.
When you are in a matrimonial bed with your girlfriend, and only to wake up in the morning to come and tell the public that you are fighting, people will laugh at you. We have always known that if there's anyone who has a political party that has a representation on EC board, it is the NPP. If we know any political party that goes to parties with the EC chairperson, J. Mensah, it is the NPP. So for them to come suddenly to come and pretend that EC is doing something ingenious to them is hypocrisy. And I'm saying that unless they have not participated in any election, for us to go and rerun, we believe that is a punishment for all of us. But let's go there and test the strength of our party. If the NPP believe that what they did in 8 years have any reason to make them win any election, they should come. If they so believe that their party is organized enough to participate in election, they should come. The toilets they said they have built, we'll go and look for the toilets tomorrow and Friday in Ablekuma North. But the people know that in the last 6 months, there is hope in the NDC's government. President Mahama have stabilized government in this country, the governance in this country. For the first time in 8 years, Ghanaians have experienced and heard and felt what is price reduction of goods and services. They never saw that in 8 years. Not even a reduction in the prices of pure water. These people were in government for 8 years. And we have come 6 months. Ghanaians have experienced it. Look, the pressure you see all over the place is because it doesn't matter whether one is NPP or one is NDC. Every young person in this country have hope in President Mahama's government. Every young person believes that suddenly there's a government back to this country. Under President Akufo-Addo, it was free for all. The people we thought would not do injustice to this country, they were all in their ages of 80, 70, 85, 80, 86, 87. They led the defraud of this country politically. Nana Addo supervised it, the NPP endorsed it. And they think that Ghanaians will not punish them. They think that after 6 months, you will go there and win an election after rejecting the people. Look, they are afraid of their own shadows. When they were in power, we had the opportunity to go for a by-election in Ayawasu West Wagon. They were violent, mean, and perpetuated casualties that were retained on the people of the NDC, including assaulting a member of parliament. That is why they are afraid. They think that there will be a replay of that in this small election.
The NPP feels that you are intimidating the EC chair because this is happening just a few days after the chairman of your party said that there's a need for the 3 heads of the EC to go.
The NPP is not a consistent organization. They are fair weather friends. After the national chairman of the NDC spoken about it, we ourselves have indicated in the last few years that J. Mensah was not fit for purpose. Only when she asked that we should go for rerun, the general secretary of the NPP suddenly found a voice against the commission. But we have been consistent that J. Mensah is not and have not been able to organize a very successful election that, represents trust. That Ghanaians sit down and believe that this election has been free and fair. Look, we still have pending these assembly elections in this country. Are you aware? Are you aware that the EC have not been able to complete? That if you look at the handling of but for the discipline of the NDC, 2024 December would have been chaotic. But for the discipline of the NPP, 2024 would have been chaotic. We restrain ourselves, not on the competence of the EC chairperson and their board. And so, if they suddenly think that we are intimidating the EC chairperson, they intimidated Charlotte say more than that. And she's also a human being.
So this is payback for you?
No, it's not a payback. It's not a payback. The fact of the matter is that Jim Mensah is not a competent person to manage the commission. Her reign have been chaotic, full of mistrust. People don't have confidence in the Electoral Commission. A woman who is in charge, and tomorrow you find BVR and BVD machines being sold in the market. Can you sit here and tomorrow your mics are being sold in the marketplace? Does that mean your management is good? And we have experienced this over the years. So the NPP is afraid of their own shadows of disorganization. They are disgruntled. They know that the woman they are presenting is not a competent candidate. In December, she felt that Ablekuma North was a music theater, and that in spite of all the social challenges there, the unemployment, the hardship, the difficulties, the resettlement issues, most of the people in Ablekuma North are people who have migrated, settlers, and they come and join. There's a lot of problems there to resolve. She believed that, oh, the people like music, let me organize jams for them. And she herself were twerking her waist all around the place. When she was given appointment, there were a lot of things that have been alleged that she was involved in a lot of criminalities. How do you present this candidate to Parliament? Today's Parliament, where we have dignified, clean young men and women serving this country, a person who is questionable in the eyes of the public, you want to impose her on the poor people of Ablekuma North? They will reject her. They have rejected her. And to know that the NPP have lost, it has always been a place that they won. 2020 election, the gap was so wide. How come young Rabina Obing came and closed the gap if they think that she didn't win? Granted that she didn't win. Close the gap. So Ablekuma North, NDC, NPP have been resolute that they need a credible person to go to Parliament. The NPP and EC sought to deny them of a parliamentarian. That is how come in the last 6 months they didn't have an MP. They wanted to repeat what happened in Hohoi on the people of Ablekuma North. But for the NDC that stood in solidarity of the people to fight against this injustice, would not have gone for this election. They would not have allowed us to go for this election. They were all over the place jumping, trying to draw in the police, trying to go and hide somewhere to declare results, and Afenyo-Markin and co were against it. Yesterday, they were in that same constituency to hold a press conference. Were they not ashamed of themselves? The poor nature of their roads, the poverty in that area, didn't they see the poor drainage? 8 years, they didn't think that the people of Ablekuma North were human beings and deserved what Nanadu gave Chebi people. They didn't see that. Today, they are running away from election. They don't want a second defeat.
Stay with me. I'll come back to you and find out how preparations are going on the ground, because you are ready for the election coming Friday. But let me bring in Haruna Mohammed now. He's Deputy General Secretary for the NPP, just to get his brief reaction. We appreciate your time here on The Pulse. We've just been hearing from our legal affairs correspondent. Tell us that the court has dismissed that case you filed in court, Nana Ekuafie filed in court on behalf of the party, seeking to halt the electoral process. What's your next line of action?
Thank you very much. I will say good evening to your cherished US listeners, even on the platforms that they are following. Also, good evening to Mustafa. I can see the energy in him in making the statement that he's making. You see, when your mouth is very full, the arrogance of power seeks to set in very early in you. It is very unfortunate that he has older men.
Mr. Mohammed, you have to speak a bit louder for me. I'm struggling to hear you. Thank you.
When your mouth is full, there is that tendency of arrogance of power setting in very early for you. And that is why he has the audacity to attack the old men in this country who, Excellency, has given opportunity to serve That is why attacking people who are music in that the woman doing that. That is why.
Oh dear, I am struggling to hear Haruna Mohammed. I am hoping that we could try once again so that our connection will be better.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, please. Better now. Loud and clear. Please make your point.
I am saying that having listened to Mustafa Bandi,
yes, please,
I can understand that when your mouth is full and you are in government, it is very known fact that it is very early that arrogance of power have just set in very early. And my brother can speak in that manner, attacking the older men in this country who have been given opportunity to serve, attacking the music industry, and then reporting and describing somebody's attitude towards the music industry in a manner. This is a person who has been a member of parliament in the same constituency before, who has beaten NDP candidates in an election. And you will come and you are talking about her and describing her in that manner. Well, he's talking about that NPP as a party has no chairman or the chairman cannot be found. That is very disingenuous of him. When Mills was sick, even the current vice president, we in the NPP decided not to discuss somebody's personal health status in the public. His inavailability at the time of governance we did not question or even ask anything about it because we know it's a sensitive matter. It is no knowledge that the national chairman of the New Patriotic Party is not well. And a national officer in the NDP will not be very sensitive and to speak in that manner. He's asking about absence of other chairpersons and the use of third vice. I put him on record. We have not used the third vice chairman for a meeting. The constitution of the New Patriotic Party is clear. In the absence of the national chairman, the first vice chairman acts. In the absence of the first vice chairman, the second vice chairman acts. The last meeting we had, the first vice national chairman was unwell and was just discharged, could not be sitting in a meeting of same as the national chairman was not available and he sat in. We don't intend to be discussing health issues of our leaders in the public. He should tread cautiously when he is discussing very sensitive matters of party.
So as a political party...
No, let me just correct those things. I'll come into those matters.
Okay.
So he should be very sensitive enough when he's discussing such matters. Again, it is only the NDP that will run away from elections without a reason. The NPP has never been coward before. We have never run away from an election without stating a reason. Stating from 1992 when we did the boycott of the parliamentary election, we wrote what we call the stolen verdict. That has helped to shape our parliamentary and presidential elections and change and transform the electoral process in Ghana. On principle, there was one election in December 2024. And I'm happy he's quoting the CI. He's making reference to the CI 127. Elections were conducted successfully in Ablekuma North per Regulation 43 of the CI 127F. Every political party, and I read, give each candidate or the representative or counting agent of a candidate a completed and signed copy of the Parliamentary Election Resource Collation form as set out in Form 1C of the schedule and the Parliamentary Election Resource Summary Sheet as set out in Form 1B of the schedule. This is what has been stated in the law. They were given copies. Everybody knows that their hoodlums went into the Electoral Commission collation centers and destroyed original copies of the carbonated pink sheets. And let me tell you, in our collation system, we don't go to the center with our carbonated sheet without scanning. You don't need to see scanners at the center. My brother, learn from us. And that was why in your election, I stood at the stadium, or Hinijan Stadium, and told you people to bring your people to us to train you as to how we conduct elections and how we collate data on elections. We scan them at our offices, and that is the party constituency collation centers before it gets to the center, because we are dealing with the devil. And when you are eating with the devil, you have to eat with a long spoon. And that is why we scanned our copies before we got to the collation center. So don't expect to see a scanner at the collation center.
I'll come
Again, you've given him enough time to speak.
Okay.
Let me speak. I am making my case one after the other.
Okay, please.
So, in the elections, declarations were made, and the presiding officers signed off every sheet. There was no report of vandalism at any polling station, and there were no report of incompletion of elections. So he's wrong when he says that when elections are not completed. Elections were completed, and I refer him to 2004 in Zabuzugu. Election materials were destroyed, and they went ahead and did a collation. Shamrock was the former DC for NDC at that time. They went ahead, they collated the results, and declared a winner for the NDC. The CI 127 does not give the Electoral Commission the power to vary a decision of the court, or even to take a decision for a rerun. In CI 127, Regulation 41, decision on ballot paper, permits me to read. The High Court may, on an election petition, review the decision of the returning officer on a question arising in respect of a ballot paper under this regulation. This is a ballot paper, and this decision must be taken by the High Court. The NPP, seeing the reasoning behind what the NDC did, we went to the High Court to seek redress. The NDC ran in and said they were not giving notice. They ran to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court gave an order for them to be heard. They were joined to the case, and on the 4th of January, the High Court ruled that the Electoral Commission should proceed to collate and declare. All the carbonated, we have our carbonated pink sheets. We are not obliged to give our carbonated pink sheets to anybody. We are at liberty to go by the rules of the game and make sure that we have our data intact. All the pink sheets we brought, their agents, the scanned pink sheets, their agents signed onto them. There was no reason of disagreement or refusal when they thought that there was any reason of the refusal. And it is on the pink sheet. We won the election, and the NDC intimidated the Electoral Commission not to declare because they think that they are losing the elections. You see, we have been very consistent in everything that we do. If the Electoral Commission is wrong, they are wrong. If they are right, they are right. It is only the NDC that is consistent in their own inconsistency. And I must place this on record. When we have the liberty to refuse, we do so. And we are questioning the legality and the processes that is used in this particular circumstance. Refer back to CI 127 again, Regulation 42, equal numbers of votes in parliamentary elections. And permit me to read, where in the parliamentary elections, after the completion of the counting of votes, including a recount, there is an equality of votes between the candidates, and the addition of a vote will entitle one of the candidates to be declared elected. The returning officer shall A, certify the fact by endorsing the writ, and B, forward the endorsed writ to the commission. Very important. Note here, the commission shall within 30 days after receipt of an endorsed writ in respect of a constituency, conduct a second parliamentary election. Second, you cannot call us into a room when you have publicly and on record said that it is left with 3 polling stations for you to complete the exercise of the court that has ordered you. You went to Parliament, you did same, you wrote a letter to us on our request, you did so, only to tell us that you want to conduct elections in 19 police stations. We are not cowards and we are not stopping. We know what the game is, and that is why we resorted to court. The court has given a ruling on the injunction. We didn't go to the court only with an injunction. The substantive case is there. The legal counsel of the New Patriotic Party will report back to us.
Mohammed, hold on there for me. Let me just get clarity. Is it the case that Nana Ekuye-Afriye filed 2 different cases at the court?
If you are filing a case, you can file more than one case in one case. You are filing a substantive case, and you are asking for an injunction.
Okay.
You are filing a substantive case and you are asking a stay. So where there is ruling, you ask for stay. Where there is an action to be taken, you ask for an injunction. And that is why the certiorari was clearly indicated, and the legal counsels will report back to us. And the NPP stance yesterday still stands, and that is what we stand by. We believe that we will use the law court and ensure justice will prevail.
I'm interested in your next line of action, because if that injunction application has been dismissed, what it means is that the NDC would go on with the election as well as the Electoral Commission, and you would be on the losing end for a seat that you claim you won.
We have won the elections. We are not going for an election that we have won, and we will prove to the good people of Ghana that we have won the elections, and whatever is happening together with the Electoral Commission, I believe that the NDC should be explaining that.
What's your next line of action?
I didn't hear you.
I'm wondering what your next line of action would be.
You wait when our next action is ready. We will make it publicized for you.
You have less than 48 hours to make a decision as to if you partake in the election or lose the seat. What would your party do?
As we stand, we are holding the seat. The seat is ours. We are waiting for the Electoral Commission to go ahead and implement the court's decision.
The Electoral Commission is clear. They are going ahead with a rerun in 19 different polling stations. Your case in court has been dismissed. As a political party, are you reviewing your stance? Will you still not partake in the rerun coming Friday?
We are in court, and we will speak when the time is due. And the only people that, in his own words, is saying they are running from elections, when you cowardly run from Ablekuma elections, you think we are the same? We don't fear anybody.
So you partake in the election? We are men on our own,
and we can do anything we want to do.
So you will partake in the election?
You check our history very well, and he should not take our silence as cowardice.
Mohammed, I want a definite answer. Will you partake in the election as a political party?
We took a decision yesterday. The General Secretary communicated the decision.
That decision,
we went to court.
That decision, we want to know if there's a change in that decision because of the outcome of the case in court.
The point is that we've taken a decision, and we've communicated the decision to the general public. If there is going to be any decision, we will communicate it to you again. But as we stand, our decision still stands.
Have you received any official invite from the Electoral Commission? Because we're fully aware that they've already started printing of ballot papers. Since
we
the
haven't
NPP...
received, not that I know. I haven't received any official letter from the Electoral Commission on that. I have not seen any letter from them.
Okay. Stay with me, Haruna Mohammed. Let me come in the studio. Have you received any invite so far from the Electoral Commission?
Mohammed should have known that the Electoral Commission will write a letter to him. The Electoral Commission will write a letter to the Election Directorate. I mean, we have a small committee that deals with the election. My Election Directorate have indicated to me that since yesterday we have received notice and invitation from them. We have sent representatives as we do it always. They have also indicated that the police were also there to supervise the printing processes. And
so they're done printing the ballot papers?
As we speak, is ongoing.
Okay.
Now,
is Nana Ekuye-Afriye name on that ballot paper based on the intel you have?
The NPP, they know they have lost that election. But what they are seeking to do, they won't withdraw. What they are seeking to do is that, oh, the general party didn't go, but even that her name was there and that, you know, she got small vote, NDC cheated her. That's what they want to do, to, you know, take the party out of the shame that will happen. They should write to the Electoral Commission and say that they are withdrawing from the election. You don't withdraw elections through press conferences. They should write and delete her name on the ballot paper. We have deployed an entire machinery to the 19 polling stations.
Stay with me. I want to get a quick response from Haruna Mohammed. As a political party, have you officially written to the Electoral Commission to declare your stance that you're withdrawing from the race?
Unfortunately, this is not an election that they are withdrawing. And when you are to withdraw from elections, it is from onset. This is an incomplete election that they are to continue. Okay? But in their words, that they are going to rerun some polling states, which have already had elections done. So you don't write to commission and tell them that you are not going to participate. We've indicated our reasons why we are not going to participate. We don't need to write to the commission. Again, indicated that the Electoral Commission doesn't need to write me. It's wrong. I don't know whether that is what is done in their past. The Electoral Commission writes to the General Secretary. They don't write to the Directive Elections.
Mr. Barney, you have to let me listen to him.
I am saying that the Directive of Elections does not receive those letters. Then all letters are addressed to the General Secretary. That is what I want to know. That's what the Electoral Commission does. If you have no benefit of hindsight to know how letters come into the party, I am telling you and breaking him to.
Okay, so you haven't written to the Electoral Commission. Mr. Fagbane, you appear to be very happy.
No, you see,
you keep smiling.
It's just funny. Mohammed is behaving as if they haven't been to SRC election before. These people, we have been around for some time. We know their game. They don't change colors. Look, they are in the election. They know they will lose. So let them go and make noise. A few months ago, they were organizing demonstrations as a sign of regrouping. Let's do demonstration to revive our base. It didn't work, so they no longer organize demonstrations again. They were in that constituency organizing press conferences. So who are they deceiving? They should go and sleep. Why is he on TV talking? If he has withdrawn from election, why is he on TV talking? But I'm saying that the NDC have deployed full machinery to Ablekuma North in solidarity with the people of Ablekuma North. Clearly, their posturing is telling you that if they had their way, they would traverse justice against the people of Ablekuma North by denying them their representation in Parliament, NPP.
But the Electoral Commission is setting a dangerous precedent, don't you think?
What dangerous
and moving forward as a political party, won't this go ahead to bite you in future, especially when we know that based on the information on the ground,
we already know.
We only had 3 polling stations.
We already know that the Electoral Commission is just like Nanado's regime. Bad presidents, bad practice, everything mixed up. We are going to now join forces with the NPP and other political parties to reset the Electoral Commission. But I don't think the commission is setting a bad precedent. Because if you don't have a legal ground on which you will declare a particular resource, in this case, pink sheets from polling stations, if those pink sheets are not verified, are not authentic to enable the commission to fulfill and give fidelity to what is provided for in CI 127, the commission will not perpetuate an illegality. The best way is a rerun. And you ask him, have they withdrawn? He said, oh, they are not withdrawn. They said in the beginning, he said they have won already. They are already won. Have they declared anybody? So you see their mentality. You ask him again, have they written to Electoral Commission to withdraw out of the election? He said, no. They don't have to write to Electoral Commission. They are in the election. So on the ballot paper, their candidate's picture and name is there. Now let me respond to this quickly.
Okay.
He said I'm attacking old age. I was raised in the village where we were told that old age are the best, holders of wisdom. And in Ghana, we believe that when the elderly are holding something, they treat it well. Nanado have made nonsense of that ideology and that belief.
Okay, as far as I'm concerned, that question,
the old men in the NPP are the ones who ganged up and ripped off this nation. Their SP is Danado. Everybody know what they have done to this country. The Osafo Mapus, the Free Alkotos, and all the old men they have appointed.
I need you
go
to
and
wrap
check
up in
scandals in their organization.
And in wrapping up, I would like you to wrap up briefly with this. The grassroots is upset that the party, the NDC, that you have gone ahead to appoint Rosemond Obeng.
It's not strange.
Who's aligned to the NPP?
It's not strange that when you are in government, you will offend your party people. That is why we are leadership of the party. We are their leaders. We take decisions that they will have to rebel against those decisions. And when it does happen, it is for us to deal with it. It's an in-house matter. And the grassroots is always legitimating their reactions. Because you see, when you sit here, you may never know what is on the ground until you feel a certain reaction. Then it gives you an appreciation of their feeling. Then you fix it.
Will her appointment be revoked?
I do not know. I mean, we are all subject to the pleasure of the president. Every single Ghanaian. If the president decides that tomorrow, for whatever reason, he needs you to play a certain role, the president will appoint you. I may not be happy. But
so you're not happy personally?
What?
As an individual, you're not happy?
It's not about being happy. It's about the reality. The reality is that the president has a country to build. And that country involves, including these our brothers who have defrauded this country and they are sitting there making they must also survive.
General
but our
Secretary of the
grassroots
NDC
must be given a priority, and that is why
my guest in the studio. Let me wrap up briefly with Haruna Mohammed. Your final thoughts as we wrap up the conversation here on the Pulse.
Thank you very much. I think my brother, he's a very good friend of mine, but I will.
He's in opposition.
I will elect to give him some key advice because I saw that he decided to make some response. One, you attacked the old age. Two, you attacked women. And three, you also attacked the music industry. The other part that I didn't even want to talk was you made a very big tribal commentary about Akufo-Addo developing the people of Chibi and all those.
Where?
I think that you said that did they check their roles? Do you know Ablekuma North very well?
Is that a tribal comment?
But why are you pitching Ablekuma North people against the good people of Chibi?
But the reality is that if you go to Chibi, there's internet in there. There's internet in Chibi. Is there one in Ablekuma North?
Please let him make his point. Please let him make
God in his wisdom chooses the tribe you come from. He chooses where the land you come from. My brother, we are all growing. You are young. Let's desist from such commentary. It's very dangerous for our state.
He's not member of Council of State.
In conclusion, you see, these people, as you have just seen, US, they went to the US for them to even vote on LGBTQ+. These people did not even see no. They didn't see yes. But they've spoken to the good people, the clergy. Everybody in this country knows that these people was very deceptive. They played on the emotions of the good people of Ghana. They went to the UN and decided to abstain, to vote against LGBTQ because of the money that they are going to receive. My brother is talking and insulting the old men. Why wouldn't he do that? Akufo-Addo, who was running the government and the office of government machinery, was spending 326 million annually. These people are spending 2.7 billion for 9 months. 9 months. That's what they are spending for office of government machinery alone. Ghanaians should open their eyes and wise up. This is what the people are doing. And we are talking about what? We are a legally formed party. Nobody uses blood to form the party for us. We don't have a founder. We have founded. And we are going to ensure that the rule of law works. At the end of the day, Ghana will be the biggest beneficiary.
Okay, we appreciate your time so much here on the Pulse. Haruna Mohammed is Deputy General Secretary for the NPP. Mustafa Gbande.
Do I need to respond? I will not respond to him. But I'm just saying that the NPP should learn to stay within context when they are discussing.
Okay.
We are talking about Ablekuma North. UN doesn't put food on the table of the people of Ablekuma North. The reality is that the old man who are Nanado's friend, who he has appointed in his government, helped him to perpetuate political fraud on the people of Ghana. It's a public knowledge. What is he defending about?
Okay, Mustafa Bandi would have to go at this point. We appreciate your time here on the Pulse. Also joining us on the phone was the Deputy General Secretary of the NPP, Haruna Mohammed. And you're still watching the Pulse. Please stay with us. When we return, we'll have that conversation about Ghana's stance when it comes to our vote in that UN Assembly. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us here on The Pulse. To other stories now, the minority in Parliament is demanding answers from the Foreign Affairs Minister, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, over Ghana's decision to abstain from voting to LGBT-related issues. Now, you may be aware that Ghana abstained from a United Nations Human Rights Council vote to renew the mandate of the independent expert on protection against violence and discrimination, and that is based on sexual orientation and gender identity. The MP for Kaikwe Central, Patrick Bama, says the abstention was surprising and worrying. He insists he will be filing to question the demand and also question Ghana's stance. Let's listen to him in that press conference that was held earlier, and then we'll be back to have a conversation here on The Pulse.
We were promised as a country by the government of the day that they were not going to support that activity. So we expected that Ghana should have taken a firm position on that. And I was a bit surprised to have seen that Ghana abstained. So we'll be asking the Minister of Foreign Affairs and representatives of government as to why Ghana abstained. I intend filing a question to understand the basis of the abstinence. Thank you.
There are those who say that Ghana has always been non-aligned with some of those stances, and maybe it was just diplomacy at play, and Ghana just did not want to play out its cards. What do you make of that?
Oh, we've been non-aligned on particular foreign policy matters. There's not a foreign policy matter. There's a cultural issue, value issue, constitutional issue, things that are alien to our culture and our well-being. And if you read our constitution, our cultural values are part of our constitutional establishment or provisions. So we thought the government, having been very firm, loud during the campaigns, ought to have sent the right message to Ghanaians that yes, we campaigned that we're not going to accept those tendencies, and that when we get the opportunity to be in government, we are going to ensure. So it was a clear opportunity for government to demonstrate to the world a position on this very important matter.
Well, the Foreign Affairs Minister has been providing answers. Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa has refuted what he described as misleading media reports purporting that Ghana had compromised its stance by abstaining from a crucial vote on an anti-homosexuality motion tabled at the United Nations. According to the diplomat, the motion before the international organization had nothing to do with a human rights question. Instead, he says it was a question on extending the tenure of some experts on the Human Rights Council. Speaking at a brief commissioning ceremony for Ghana's new representative to UNESCO, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa stated that President Mahama will not backtrack from values that are alien to Ghanaian culture. Here's head of our Foreign Affairs desk, Blessed Suga, with details. Blessed, thank you so much for joining us. Tell me, why exactly is the minister concerned about the recent media report on Ghana's vote at the UN?
Well, that's right. A couple of hours ago, the Foreign Affairs Minister, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, actually commissioned a special representative to UNESCO. Is the reason for which the minister is taking the opportunity now to respond for the very first time to circulating news reportage that appears to indicate that the Foreign Ministry, and by extension the Republic of Ghana, participated in a voting, a crucial one, of course, that bordered on anti-LGBTQ LGBT rights. Apparently, the minister says that's not the case because at the United Nations, his briefings and clearly checking from the records, there's a clear indication that the vote that was taking place at the United Nations had to do with the renewal of mandates for some independent experts that were going to work with the United Nations Human Rights Council on the protection of rights for individuals. He says that that was the motion, and the motion had absolutely nothing to do with whether or not a human rights question should be considered by the international body. That's the reason for which the minister, during that ceremony, decided to take the opportunity to indicate clearly by stating that President John Dramani Mahama is unwavering in his position on anti-LGBT matters, and of course a clear order to this new envoy that will be representing Ghana at UNESCO to equally reflect same to the world. The minister has also been indicating that from his perspective, the media ought to review this very document and motion that was tabled at the United Nations. We can listen to the concerns of the minister, plus why he believes that Ghana would not change its approach on this matter.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has observed that there are misleading reports in sections of the media that Ghana has abstained from a vote on LGBTQ+++. The ministry wishes to state for the record that there was no vote on support for LGBTQI+++, for which Ghana abstained. So let's get it clear. There was no vote on support for LGBTQI+++, for which Ghana abstained. Our ambassador in Geneva has clarified, they have sent us the full report, and they have clarified that the vote was about an independent expert's mandate on violence against women, against people of various sexual orientations. That is what the vote was about, a general vote about protecting human rights, particularly of women, violence against women, and persons of various sexual orientation. And Ghana decided to abstain, consistent with our human rights credentials. Why will you want to endorse violence against women in particular? We frown against that. There is no way we will violate the human rights. And we have made it very clear that President Mahama, this government, and indeed the Ghanaian society, the larger Ghanaian society, is vehemently opposed to LGBTQI. So there is no way our envoys in Geneva will vote to support LGBTQI. The vote was about the independent experts' mandate in terms of violence against women and violence against people of various sexual orientation. And we do know that as a country, in as much as we are opposed to LGBTQI, we are against any forms of violence against them. We respect everybody's human rights. So even in the private members' bill that we all supported in Parliament, in the last Parliament, the 8th Parliament, it was clear that we show empathy to anybody we identify in Ghana to be practicing LGBTQI. In that private members' bill, nobody had the right to assault or attack or harm or maim or kill anybody identified in Ghana to be practicing LGBTQI. That will have meant that that proposed legislation is inconsistent with our Constitution, because our Constitution, as you do know, has very entrenched human rights provisions which protects and guarantees the rights and freedoms of everybody. So misleading reports of that nature should be discarded. And I would urge the media to independently obtain what the vote was about at yesterday's Human Rights Council meeting. There was no vote on support for LGBTQI, no vote. The ministry is issuing a statement, and we shall be quoting copiously, very clear terms, the exact question as was put at the meeting, so that you can also independently verify. And it is clear that there was no vote on support for LGBTQI, whether you are for LGBTQI or you're against. If that was the vote, you can be assured that Ghana will have voted clearly against, because that is our position. We do not support that practice. And President Mahama has made it very clear that it will not be on his watch that he will support, or his government will endorse, LGBTQI. He's made that very clear. And all of us, our religious leaders, our community leaders, our chiefs, everybody is clear about where Ghana stands on the matter of LGBTQI. So we thought that we use this opportunity, particularly as you are going to be representing us at UNESCO. So I have no doubt that President Mahama has made an excellent choice, and that you are going to champion African values, Ghanaian values, and really what should be God's given definition of who a man is, who a woman is, what is marriage, what are family values.
Well, let's explore that conversation further here on the Pulse. Join me via Zoom for a discussion on this is international relations expert, Dr. Ishmael Hover. We appreciate your time. We're just hearing from the Foreign Affairs Minister categorically states that that vote wasn't about the anti-LGBTQ laws, but rather, in his words, he says that that was actually with regards to human rights issues. On the international front, Ghana deciding to abstain from that vote. What's the perception that would give the international relations community?
Good afternoon to you and your viewers. I think that it is our right to decide either we want to support the extension of the mandate of the independent panel of experts on violence against LGBTQ and gender. Now, having said that, if we are actually committed to protecting and promoting human rights, then I think that our vote should have gone in favor of extending the mandate of the panel. Because if the panel is all about advancing human rights regarding to gender, regarding to LGBTQ++, then if you stand with human rights, then you vote for it. On the contrary, if we feel that the right of those people is contrary to our cultural values, then we vote against it. But abstaining communicate indifference to the situation. In other words, we have not decided exactly where we lie, our interests lie. So, but if you analyze the mandate of that expert panel, you will come to a conclusion that it's not just a panel that is supposed to monitor, it's also undertake policy advocacy in various countries where they try to change attitude and policy towards LGBTQ+. So I think that since we decided to abstain, of course, our right to decide to abstain, but then it also communicates clearly that we have not yet decided what we want to do as a country with regards to LGBTQ+ right. Now, voting yes will not have meant that we are welcoming the practice in Ghana, but then even if people are found to engage in it, they still have rights that should have been protected. Abstaining simply is like indecision. You have not yet decided either you want to protect their rights or otherwise. So I think that if we actually committed to gender rights, then the best approach is to actually support the extension of the mandate. Abstaining is only because we seems not to be so sure if we want to protect them or not, and because of the sensitive nature of the issue within the domestic environment, I think that our representatives were being very careful and therefore decided to abstain instead of either support or vote against.
But this whole conversation about Ghana's stance when it comes to the LGBTQI+ community has come up again. Now, should this administration make it clear in terms of our legal processes that indeed that is outlawed, what will be the implication for us as a country?
So if you assume we wake up one day and the law is passed that bans, and the president has said to that bill that declare LGBTQ as unlawful in Ghana, and therefore nobody can publicly advocate for that. What it means that countries that have made it a priority, we will have some of them trying to influence us. They may put some diplomatic pressures to have us rescind our decision. But then again, you realize that those diplomatic pressures have not been yielding results. You remember Uganda had a similar law. The World Bank, IMF, they imposed sanctions, but recently have lifted those sanctions. And because the leader of that world, the United States itself, seems to change policy position because of Trump. If you pass that law, yes, there will be reaction from the international community. They will try to put diplomatic pressure. But then at the end of the day, because of the peculiar nature of the global system now, those diplomatic pressure will just fade away soon, and you'll be free to conduct whatever you want to do. So yes, in as much as we must be careful in passing it, the current international environment is more favorable for you to pass it, and the pressure will be a little bit less than before, because when the previous U.S. administration made it a policy objective so that their pressure pushing countries to adopt it. But Ghana will not be the only country to also adopt an anti-LGBTQ+ law. There are so many countries, and they are able to stand based on their cultural values and insist that is contrary to their culture. So yes, there will be diplomatic pressure. There will be some threats of economic sanctions here and there. Some will be materialized. But then if you persist and that's what you want to do over time, given the nature of the world, those will fade away, and you'll be fine to continue to do business with the rest of the world. But on those who practice it, then it will be difficult for them to have certain business interests in Ghana. They may not be so welcome into your space, because then they will feel frightened, they will feel persecuted, and so forth and so on. But having said that, I think that the laws are such that they don't actually monitor people in their bedroom, so that you say that I think Ghana's the last law that was in debate was not criminalizing it in your bedroom, but you cannot promote it publicly, and then that is where I think Ghana's law stands. So yes, if we pass it, there will be some pressure brought to bear on us, but then at the end of the day, given the current geopolitical situation, you may be able to weather the storm and move on.
Doc, stay with me, because I want to get your brief reaction to the story I'm about to play. The minority in Parliament, they're accusing the Minister of Foreign Affairs of battering Ghana's image abroad with what they claim are questionable decisions. According to the NPP group, the Foreign Affairs Minister does not have the tact required of a diplomat. They cite the decision on the chip embedded passport program, which they say was conceived by the erstwhile Akufo-Addo government, but bundled by the new government, leading to several citizens stranded. Well, let's listen to the Deputy Ranking Member on the Foreign Affairs Committee, Nana Safweje.
Since independence, the historical record shows that Ghana has earned global respect by speaking with a steady and principled voice abroad. Successive administrations, regardless of party, have treated diplomacy as a national trust, not a partisan tool. The minority has observed that Ghana's long-standing diplomatic continuity now hangs in the balance. Ghana's reputation abroad has never depended on personalities, It rests on the principled, disciplined work of foreign services institutions. Today, since Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa assumed office on the 7th February 2025, the minority and Ghanaians globally have observed and witnessed a troubling drift away from the tradition I earlier on mentioned. Going government secured supplier credit, completed all testing, and formally launched the project on 2nd December 2024, including procuring of 50,000 booklets and standing order of 200,000 more. You can reference this on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs press release. You can also look at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs contract CEP 2111. When the new minister staged a costly relaunch on the 28th April 2025, an event that alone cost the taxpayer $1.2 million. It failed to increase printing capacity or paper supply. Within 8 weeks, the passport office was sitting on 32,467 unprinted applications. 68% of applicants had waited more than 8 weeks despite paying for 15 days express services.
Well, he also talked about the closure of Ghana's embassy in the U.S. and the hardship it occasioned for Ghanaians in the U.S.
Indefinite closure of the Ghanaian embassy in Washington, D.C., pending an alleged fraud probe regarding one single staff member. By dawn 26 May 2025, the embassy doors were closed and 437 confirmed applicants for the week had been cancelled. Among the stranded was Mrs. Ajua Mensima, whose plea for the return of her passport so she could bury her grandmother went viral within hours. You can check this on Ghana Web 2. In 3 days, the minister's decision had cost Ghana over $38,200 in expedite services fees and forced at least 112 travelers to miss their connecting flight. Stranded consular protocols calls that for sanitation of the front decks and continuing skeletal consular protocol calls. But the minister instead closed a spectacle of closure or issued a spectacle of closure that punished the innocent and embarrassed the state without explanation. The mission reopened on the 30th of May 2025, and the matter has since been shrouded in silence. But the last time the minister appeared in Parliament to recount the issue why he closed the embassy, the Parliament, particularly minority, requested for the report. And up till now, the minister, if you recall, told the whole House that he would present the report just the next day. He told Mr. Speaker, until now, it's been weeks, we've not even seen the report. Expose the alarming pattern of an incompetent, inexperienced foreign minister who does not understand diplomacy and too often governs by emotions and headlines, rather than evidence or counsel, enabled by the Mahama-led administration incapable of the steady internal scrutiny that protects citizens and safeguard the interest of the state's credibility. We are by this demanding the following. 1, that a public audit of passport programs, cost, supply chain, and backlog data within 14 days. 2, that a consular report detailing who authorized the Washington shutdown and what legal basis and how affected citizens will be compensated. It's a compensation that we are mostly interested in. A policy paper laying out Ghana's current position on Western Sahara, including a diplomatic assessment that informed the Rabat communique. And lastly, an emergency response framework, travel advice, hotlines, and evacuation protocol for Ghanaians in our neighboring states where conditions are uncertain, beginning with Togo. Parliament will be asking, or will ask as a matter of urgency, that the Minister for Foreign Affairs in the next sitting address these following matters. In the meantime, we call on all journalists civil society groups, and every concerned Ghanaian to insist on transparency. Ghana's global standing is the product of decades of disciplined diplomacy, and no individual should be allowed to tarnish this hate or hubris that we have toiled for.
Well, Dr. Ishmael, I'm sure you're still with me. I just want to get your brief reaction. They're making key concerns there, and they want a public audit of passport programs so far. What's your thoughts on this from an international relations view?
I think the minorities is within their right to demand what they are demanding. If they suspect that the newly launched passport process have some issues that have to do with prudent spending of public funds, so that would be within their right to demand. And also the issue of the closure of the embassy in Washington and the consequence it had for those who were supposed to have consular services during the period. But they were right to raise those issues. But then I'm not sure that those issues were significant or sufficient to conclude that the image of Ghana is so much damaged by them that we need to redeem the image as at now. Of course, I have some reservations about how the foreign minister conduct diplomacy, particularly in relation to the closure of the Washington embassy and some of his responses to other statesmen. But then again, I think what he also sought out to do is in the best interest of the citizens who the mission at the time seems not to be responded to positively. Because if you are a Ghanaian who is to procure service and the service you are procuring is estimated at a higher cost than it will naturally have cost you, that have to be addressed. And of course, he chose a process of addressing it that we may not agree with. But then again, we should also look at the outcome. And so I think that the foreign minister will do himself a lot of good if he can expedite action on the Yoko investigation, bring it to a finality so that the public will know the outcome of what was going on at the Washington embassy. In as much as some of the things that the foreign minister did, we may not agree, we must also look at what is the aim of what he was trying to do. And if we look at the aim, some of them are well-intentioned. The choice of action may be bad, but then they are very well-intentioned, and as such, sometimes you may have to do that to restore confidence and so forth and so on. But of course, on the issue of the passport, and they may be right, it's justified that once it involves public expenditure, we audit it and be sure that we will not run after another 8 years, then there will be another Operation Recover all of that. Here and now, we are demanding that whatever we see as not in the best interest of the public is audited, and if there's something out of it, we deal with it. So yes, there are some actions that he needs to take. For instance, the issue of how do you deal with people in our neighboring country that was having issues some weeks ago, where the embassy and the ministry was slow to react to. These are issues that he can improve upon. These are issues that I think that the minority have legitimate concern, and the minister should respond to them and bring some finality to it. Of course, the Togo issue, I understand, particularly this government, it's always going to be difficult for them because on one hand, the minister himself happened to be from an ethnic section that has an interest in the Togolese issue. So his response will be minded. I think that, well, of course, travel advisory, safety measures would have been a better option. But then the quiet nature of his response is also because the issue of Ewe nationality, Ewe ethnicity has always been part of Ghana's challenge with Togo, particularly with the current crop of leaders in power. So remember during Rawlings' time, because of that ethnicity, Ghana-Togo relations have been very, 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 very strained at that time because of Rawlings being ethnically aware And of course, Okudzato being one ethnically aware, would have to tread a very cautious path in trying to meddle in the Togolese issue. Because Togo is an ethnically divided country, and their politics sometimes play along those ethnic lines. So yes, but taking care of the interests of Ghanaians should be of paramount interest to him.
Thank you so much for your time here on The Pulse. Dr. Ishmael Hovo is an international relations expert. Well, away from that, in Accra's cables and wireless area, plastic waste is a way of life. Men and women dig through what the city throws away. They collect, sort, crush and sell it, turning trash into income, one bottle at a time. In our Climate Focus series today, my colleague Emefa Adeti tells a story of how their work puts food on the table and keeps plastic off the streets.
In the cables and wireless area of Accra, a small but important recycling hub is giving plastic waste a second life. What others throw away, people here turn into income, and in doing so, they help the environment too.
This one will melt it, they will do take away, black polythene.
Interesting.
Al-Hassan is a local recycler. Every day, he collects plastics from across the city, crushes it into raw chips, and sells them to manufacturers. For him, this is more than a job. It's how he feeds his family and how he helps reduce plastic pollution.
Because of this job, my Peking gets scholarship for outside. Because of this job, I build my own house with wife with 2 kids.
Portia is one of the many women who sort plastics by hand. She works in the open, under the sun, with no shade and little help. She earns 30 cedis a day, just enough to support her child and save a little.
15 cedi bet, you 30 Ghana. And mama metimi abuabua, skaka kran so am pese metimi de bie container. Me bie wi ana fe ni majai, en na ya me buta ensam.
Nana Kofi Hinaku, who runs Star Plastics and Alinko, buys recycled plastics to produce household and construction items. His company turns waste into chairs, tanks and plastic lumber, cutting down the need for timber.
So here we do recycled finished products. We have colleagues who do the recycle, the clashing, the passing, and they will sort it and do the finished material. Then when they bring it here, the one which is suitable for my product, then I'll go for it. Because the plastic, we have different type of plastic. We have PP, we have PE, we have AD, LD, and different type. I mostly use the PP, polypropylene. That is the short name of PP. Yeah. So when it comes here, I have different type of molds. So if I'm producing, I have a lot. If I'm producing, I have sewa plate, I have sewa bowl, I have adoa, I have Christodia, I have wache plate. I've named it in Ghanaian way because I'm not going to do it some like the Chinese people, they'll write chin chon chon on it.
But the land this recycling hub sits on is not theirs. Every year, there are rumors that it might be sold or taken over for development. That could put workers out of work.
We have petitioned to the government to help give this land for us to create an industrial village for the informal sector where we have a permanent place, because if they are working around any time, the owners of the land, either the government or the individual, they eject them and they find it difficult to get other places. But if we have one permanent place where they will have their structures permanently built, I think it will help to really increase production and even for more employment.
Every year, the governor they'll bring somebody buy the land. We are going to come and sack you. So if you have money to go and take material, you are panicked Whether you don't know when you go bring the material grader or come and destroy it. And we have been fighting the government to release here givers. Because we have all the company who is doing this rubber bowl, rubber bucket, they are blacks. Take away all our people are doing it because of this job.
Plastic that once choked gutters and landfills is now raw materials for building, packaging and household essentials. Their efforts may be small scale, but they are making a big difference in reducing pollution and protecting the environment. MFA Aditi's report for JoyNews.
Climate Focus is brought to you by JoyNews in partnership with Youth Bridge Foundation, Bridging Gaps for Positive Youth Development, and the Climate Development Knowledge Network.
Well, away from that, the government has expressed deep concern over the increasing rate of HIV infections, particularly among young people, citing, among others, limited access to comprehensive sexual health education as a key contributing factor. Speaking at the launch of the 2025 Voluntary National Review of the UN Sustainable Goals, President John Dramani Mahama stressed the urgent need for a youth-led national conversation on HIV prevention. A recent report by the Ghana AIDS Commission revealed that 15,290 new HIV infections were recorded in the year 2024 alone. Now, there's more in this.
We're also alarmed by the rising HIV rates, especially amongst our young people. This points to a failure in communications, stigma, and limited access to sexual health education. We need a bold youth-led national conversation on prevention supported by our schools, by our health workers, our parents, and the media. Prevention is essential, but empowerment is the key.
Well, let me just run you through some of the key data that the Ghana AIDS Commission released, just detailing some of the new infections for the year 2024. Our research desk has put that together and it's coming up on your screens. Now, the total number of people living with HIV in Ghana is over 334,000. When it comes to the breakdown, we have more females actually with the virus. They have the record number of 229,261, which is 68.5% of the people living with HIV are women. Now, new infections recorded in the year 2024 are over 15,000. And AIDS death-related numbers that they have put together, they say it's about 212,600, I beg your pardon, deaths. So that's the figure, and that's how things are looking when it comes to our outlook. We know that the president has also been speaking about the district assemblies, and he wants them to ensure that there's strict enforcement of the sanitation bylaws, particularly those targeting open defecation. In subsequent bulletin, we'll be exploring that conversation further and just look at how best this can help rid the country of issues regarding open defecation and some of the key proposals he's making. We'll also expand the conversation by bringing expert opinions here on the JoyNews channel. So you want to stick and stay on JoyNews Prime. My name is Faustina Safo. That's how we wrap up the bulletin. I appreciate your time and company. Up next is Let's Talk Entertainment. Have a wonderful day as you enjoy the rest of our programs.